Newcastle United headed to the London Stadium to take on West Ham United in the Premier League fixture. They took the megabus down because there was too much of a storm to fly. But could they rustle up their own storm in a teacup and take some points away from high-flying West Ham United? It's the Tune Under Podcast's West Ham United versus Newcastle United review. All right, lads and lasses, and good day, mates. Welcome to another episode of the Tune Under Podcast. We're going to do something slightly different today. The game has literally just finished 10 minutes ago. It's 20-1 in the morning. We've got a pretty busy schedule coming up this week with all the other stuff that we've got going on for the podcast. So yeah, this is basically the best opportunity for us to talk about this game. So this was the West Ham against Newcastle United down at the London Stadium. It's finished 1-1. A result that Craig, all wise sage down there, he predicted for the game, and I just wrote his coattails on this one and went for 1-1 as well. Absolutely spot on, Craig. Well done. But anyway, joining me today, Jack in Brizzy. How you going, Jack?
Champion. All good.
Good. Craig, you're looking absolutely knackered, mate. How are you?
I was been a long day. It was a long 90 minutes as well, to be honest. A bit bottom clenching towards the end with a few daft free kicks and whatever. But yeah, it was good.
Craig, I hope you're putting money on these results you keep getting right.
Nah, guaranteed. Every time I put money on, we'll lose. So it's not worth doing.
Oh, definitely didn't do that then. You're doing absolutely mint so far, mate. That must be like, what, 5 out of 5 or something?
It's close to. Got to be, eh?
Doing tremendous, mate. All right, so let's crack on. So I'll start with the teams. Starting with West Ham as the home team. So it was Fabianski in goal. It was Fredericks, Dawson, Zuma, Boo, Cresswell. Rice with the captain's armband, Souček, Bowen, who was excellent, Ben Rama, Fornals, and Antonio. And for Newcastle, it was Martin Dubravka, Emil Kraft, Boo, Fabian Schär, Dan Burn, Matt Targett, John Joe Selvey picking up the armband, Joe Willock, Joe Linton, Ryan Fraser, Jacob Murphy, and Chris Wood up top. We haven't heard any interviews from the manager or anything like that, or the players, because the game's just finished. But so we'll start with just talking about some of the goals. There's only 2 to get through, actually. The first one, 30 minutes. Kraft thinks he's playing Aussie rules AFL football, dives on top of Antonio, who was absolute shite this whole game. I mean, he might as well have just let him go straight past him, and he would have ballooned the ball into the stands, guaranteed, because he was absolutely dog shit today. Anyway, he dives on top of him because he thinks he's going to get in on goal. Cresswell takes a free kick. It's a lovely outswinger, actually, right into the danger zone. Murphy, who was supposed to be marking Dawson, kind of just loses his man. Dawson gives him the slip. And Dawson, when he comes to hit the ball, he's basically completely unmarked. There's nobody around him. And it's a free header. Dubravka's got no chance. It's only a couple of meters out and straight in the back of the net. That's on 30 minutes, and I think by that time, you'd have to say, I mean, we started pretty strong. First 10 minutes easily, we were miles on top of this game. West Ham came back into it. Some of the commentators were saying this was kind of against the run of play. I think it was more sort of 50-50 at this point, given how West Ham came back into it. That said, mind you, West Ham had only had 30% possession to this point, and only one shot on target, which was this actual goal. There's all these shit bubbles floating around the place, which I still kind of understand as a celebration. It's like the fucking weirdest celebration I've ever seen. Anyway, Jack, 1-0 down, 30 minutes. We were doing all right to this point. What do you reckon?
Yeah, we were doing all right. I've made a note, we had 79% possession on about 10 minutes or so, which is absolutely unheard of for Newcastle. I think having 2 centre-backs who can actually pass the ball makes a massive, massive difference. To us actually being able to keep the ball. It's just amazing seeing 2 defenders who are so comfortable and receiving the ball and passing it out. West Ham weren't really pressing that much, which they were kind of just passing it around at the back between themselves for quite a lot of it. And we also had a 80% pass completion rate in the first half, which is about 10% more than we've had lately. So, you know, you can see why we were keeping the ball well. I think the goal was probably the one lapse of concentration in the whole game, which is a real shame that they scored from that. I think it was Murphy's man, but it was just pretty bad defending. The one bit of bad defending we did in the whole game, and we ended up 1-0 down. So, but the reaction was the good thing. We were the better team through the whole game. I think we were the better team at the point they scored. And usually teams get a little bit of a buzz when they score and they pick up a little bit, but West Ham didn't. They were pretty poor all game. The same as the other teams we've played lately have been poor, which is testament to us as much as those teams playing badly. So yeah, disappointing to go down, but pleased with the response.
It's like Bobby said in one of the recent podcasts, we played Everton, we played Leeds, we played Villa, we've now played West Ham. Guaranteed West Ham will say that West Ham were poor. But the common denominator in all those games has been us. So I don't think you can kind of write us out of that equation. Craig, we're going to talk about Kraft at length, I feel. I've got to get him off my chest. But that was like a terrible bit of defending in the first instance. How did you see this goal?
It was shambolic defending, as we all seen. I mean, we were all talking about it during the game, and there was defenders around him. He didn't need to make a challenge. He could have, if anything, just stood his ground, but instead he rugby tackles him to the floor. And we were all raging with that free kick. And we all know how potent West Ham have been this season from free kicks, set pieces. I think they're third in the Premier League for converting set pieces that don't include penalties. So you can't give away stupid things like that. And I know Kraft is our third choice right back, so we can't really give him that much grief or anything. But he was pretty much shambolic the whole entire game. Said many times, I am not Kraft's biggest fan, far from it. And I think today's performance just proved a little point of mine.
I just want to jump in. Let me just jump in and defend Kraft a little bit, because
No, don't.
He's not Trippier, obviously. He's not Manquillo. He's the third choice right back. He's not Premier League standard, really. We all know that. I think they obviously targeted him in the first half. They tried to target him in the second half, but he picked up quite a lot and he didn't have any issues second half. So I think for the third choice right back, he did about as well as can be expected. He's not going to be part of the squad going forward. He'll probably only play another couple of games for us as soon as Manquillo comes back, hopefully.
I would have probably found a way to get Lascelles to start and stuck someone else down that position and just avoided Kraft altogether. He's absolutely terrible. He's an absolute liability. I am going to slag him off because he's just so bad, man. He's just so bad. I don't care if he's third choice. He still has to be up to a certain quality, and he's absolute crap, man. Anyway,
he wasn't bad in the second half. He was all right.
It just wasn't as bad as the first half.
He was part of a defence that completely shut West Ham out as well. They didn't have any shots on target after we scored, so a little bit of credit, I think. But yeah, obviously we don't want him in the team, ideally.
No, I'm not giving him any credit whatsoever. You can go to hell. He was absolutely terrible. All right, moving on to the second goal. On 45 minutes, brilliant time to get a goal if you're behind. So it's Willock, who to this point had been my man of the match already. He was brilliant. He was about the only guy on the pitch at this point for us who I felt really was in the game. The ball comes to Fraser. He's in the middle of the pitch. Don't know what he's doing there. Anyway, he's under absolutely no pressure whatsoever. He's in the box as well. And he kind of backheads it to Murphy, who's lingering behind him. And he does a 1-2 with Fraser, who does a lovely cut back into the box. Declan Rice doesn't defend it very well. And as the ball's coming down, Willock, very sharp, somehow gets in between Fredericks and Dawson and manages to get just the very slightest of toe pokes on it. And also manages to guide it away from Fabianski. And it goes in over the line, off the bar, takes the referee's wristwatch, goal line technology to give that one. And off everyone peels. Willock's giving the old pat of the badge to the away fans, which probably means he's going to get sold. That always seems to happen. I was watching after the game, actually, Demba Ba was going like, oh, this was a Demba Ba goal. Almost impossible. I'm like, oh, yeah, there's shrinking violet Demba Ba. But it was an excellent, almost an opportunist goal. I'll come to you first, Craig. What did you make of that one?
Well taken goal, to be honest. Scrappy defending from Declan Rice. I think he just timed his header wrong. But, take it all day long. Smart finish from Willock as well to put it across the keeper. In off the far upright, which, to be honest, I didn't think it was in it first. I thought the keeper managed to get there in time. So we had a bit of stroke of luck with the goal line technology. I think the last time we had one of those was when little T-Rex arms at Goodison Park in the 93rd, 4th minute, I think it was, in a 2-2 draw. So it's about time we had a bit of luck go our way for that type of thing.
Who was that keeper with the blonde hair, like from back in the day? Who I can't remember if it was for West Ham or Man United or something, and the ball went well over the line. Oh, it might be Spurs.
It was Roy Carroll from Man United.
Carroll. I was going to say Carroll, but I was thinking that can't be right. Yeah, and it went well over the line, didn't it? And he just sort of picked it up, and he had that kind of like kind of run away with like a raised eyebrow sort of thing, like going, "Oh, I am definitely getting away with this," and he did as well, and it was well over the line. So yeah, thankfully, we've benefited from the technology this time. Jack Willock, he was brilliant, wasn't he, up to this point?
Yeah, he was. I'm pleased he got that goal because it's been coming for him over the last 4 or 5 games. He's kind of grown into games in the last few weeks, but today he started really well and he faded. I think he was tired. He was really tired towards the end. He got subbed off, but he was getting into the kind of positions he was getting into last season, which is what we want to see from him when he's playing in that midfield role. He really carried the team in some ways. I think in the first half he was absolutely excellent, so completely justified his place in the team. And it's probably interesting to point out that goal, if St. Maximin was playing, which I found out he wasn't about a couple of hours before the game, and Murphy was playing instead, if St. Maximin was playing, I don't think we would have scored that goal because Murphy actually passed the ball to Fraser, who then could cross it in. So that's one of the benefits. Murphy didn't have the best game, but he was all right, and he did his defensive work. So even though St. Maximin's obviously our most talented player, probably, Murphy contributed in other ways, and I think he did all right, and he contributed a lot to that goal. So good goal for Willock. We thoroughly deserved to be in, and it was a good time to score as well.
Yeah, Murphy did all right, I suppose. It would have been a late call as well, so you probably wouldn't have been really expecting it. ASM, I forgot to mention at the start, the ASM was an absolutely ginormous miss. I was saying on the chat there, though, this kind of game, the way this game went, the way the West Ham were really shaky at the back, especially down that left side of ours. ASM, I feel like ASM would have told him a new one. All right, yeah, he doesn't pass the ball. But, just the fear of what he might do is enough to make space for other people. And, he can make things happen even if it's not directly from something he does, like a shot on goal. But he also scores goals as well. So I'm kind of relieved as well that we actually got through this without losing. All right, so that was at half time, and there wasn't any more goals for the rest of the game. I want to talk about one or two people though. So yeah, Emil Kraft. All right, so I'm just going to get this off my chest. I've already said it, he is terrible. He isn't first choice or second choice. He probably shouldn't even be third choice. Can't make a simple pass to a player that's a few meters away from him. He makes stupid tackles like the one that led to the goal. He can't cross the ball. There was amount of times he tried to cross the ball and it was well over everybody and going out to the other side of the pitch. He's a body. That's about as best I can say about Kraft. He's a body. Ryan Fraser, on the other hand, continues his little renaissance now. I was reading the piece on The Athletic by our good friend Chris Wolf, and the sounds from back in the club from the people behind the scenes is all very positive. He's full of smiles. He's reclaimed that half a yard that he's probably lost since he first joined the club, thanks to Bruce playing him in completely wrong position over and over again. He ran himself into the ground, really. I know he went off on the 79th minute, and he was looking pretty knackered by that point. Mickey came on in his place, but I thought that was a brilliant shift from Fraser. He's just getting better and better every game, isn't he, Jack?
Yeah, it was funny. Just before he came off, he absolutely scythed someone down and got a yellow card as well. He was tired as well towards the end, but he made an interesting comment when he was asked about last week, I think, about what's changed for him and how's his form picked up. And he basically he didn't name it, but he kind of giggled and he intimated that the previous manager didn't get the best out of him. which he's not going to when he's playing him completely out of position and when the players are seemingly doing absolutely no conditioning work or fitness work at all. He's a player who needs to be fit. He relies on his stamina and his energy, and he's really picked up. He got his goal against Everton, and he's become quite an important part of the team. So long may that continue. Good to see.
They're not the only one in the team that Eddie Howe is doing a cracking job on. I mean, Willock, for example. Let's talk about Willock. Again, brilliant first half. Got the goal, fantastic. Another one who ran himself into the ground second half. Craig, he's getting better and better, isn't he? He's basically getting back to his best. I think he's approaching where he was second half of last season, I think, isn't he? Now he's got the goal. Do you think he can go on and get a few more before the season ends?
I do. I think it's the goal he needed. I think we all thought he had it at Leeds when he had that chance towards the end of the game. I think this will kick his season on. And I wonder if the arrival of Bruno has actually to give him maybe that kick up the arse he's needed, knowing his position in the team is severely under threat. We've got this big name signing that's just sat there on the bench, just doing little 10-minute cameos since he's been here. But I cannot fault Willock for anything he done today. That first 45 minutes, he was the best player on the pitch by far, head and shoulders above everyone. He deserved his goal. The goal was well taken. And to be honest, if he's going to play like that, he can keep Bruno out of the team. I've got no problems with that at all. Bring on Brentford, I say.
Willock's one who's definitely going to be in the squad next season. I think he always probably would have been, but if he can just pick his form up again, he can be an important player either starting or off the bench. I think for us, he's only 22 or 23 as well, so he's at a good age, and I think properly coached. He did score a lot of goals last season in that crazy run he had, but now that the whole team's being actually coached by an actual manager, it's making a big difference, and his fitness has picked up as well. So, yep, he's really picked up, and it's good to see.
Yeah, well, Craig's probably right. You know, that's the first goal that he needed. Let's hope he goes on a bit of a run. Speaking of someone who didn't get a goal and who was being predicted to get one was Chris Wood. So, as Bobby said on the chat, he was well marked by Zuma. Didn't get much of a sniff the whole game. I can't really think of. I mean, it's never a good sign when you see the striker coming deep to try and get the ball, and he was doing that quite a lot in this game. Have we? This is going to sound really harsh, but Jack, have we signed a lemon here?
No, I don't think so. He barely touched the ball. You know, he's playing up front on his own, and we're a team that, although we've picked up a lot, we're not kind of free flow and attacking and creating a lot of chances. I think he is a functional player who is performing an important role. He's better in that position than Dwight Gale would be, and that's literally the only reason he's here. And he was available, and he weakened Burnley. So I think if he gets chances, he'll score a couple of headers maybe. He will score goals if he gets chances, maybe in some of the home games. He's not quick though. He's big and strong. He's not very mobile. He's not very quick. He can finish when he gets the chances, but he can hold the ball up quite well. He did one decent thing in the second half where he held up the ball and created a bit of a chance. But I'm absolutely fine with him being in the team at the moment. There's nobody else, you know, and he's doing that job reasonably well. We've won 3 and drawn 2 of the games he's started, so you can't really complain in that sense. And he'll be probably a squad player next season as well. He certainly won't be starting the first game of next season.
Yeah, you'd have to think so. Is that one good move, the one where he actually was down the wing and he made that lovely cross at the centre of the pitch? If only he was on the end of that cross from himself. If he had done like a Joel Linton sort of cross it to his own head, that was a cracking bit of play, actually. Yeah, you're quite right. He was good in that respect. Trying to think of Dan Burn, big Dan Burn. He was, I don't know, maybe you could have done a little bit better on the goal, but like our guest Josh in the preview said, you know, they do like to whip the ball in quite a lot into the box. And I think for the most part, it's fair to say that Dan Burn was meeting just about everything, wasn't he, Craig?
He was, yeah, he was an absolute rock. And I was, again, maybe fairly critical when we signed him. I thought it was just to appease the fans, being a local lad. But he's shown in these 2 games that he is up for the fight. And he is actually been so far a quality signing. He hasn't put a foot wrong. Yeah, there was a bit of a rash lunge at the end of the game on, I can't remember the player was. on
Bowen.
Bowen. Yeah, I think
Proper
Bowen got
kick-off.
the yellow card for that, which I found quite weird. But yeah, that was maybe a little bit where the game had got to him, a little bit of heat. But you like to see that passion from the players, and he wears his heart on his sleeve. And being a local lad, he knows exactly what the club's about. But yeah, he was solid. Didn't really put a foot wrong. Maybe could have done better on the goal, as you said. But they're set piece specialists this season, so you're always going to concede or at least have chances go against you when you've got teams as good quality as West Ham.
It'll be interesting to see what happens at the back because Lascelles is fit now because he came on as a sub in the last dying seconds. Kraft is terrible. I've already mentioned that a few times now. But he's in a position that we don't have a great deal of cover for. I wonder if Eddie Howe's already said before that he doesn't want to change a team that is doing well. Like he's not just going to let people waltz straight back into the team, and he's shown that today as well. He's kept that central back partnering together. But I do wonder if he's going to look at that performance from Kraft and say like, I need to do something here because maybe Dan can play down the right. I think Demi was saying that he's been able to do that. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next game.
It's good. You've got a whole new left side of the defense. So you've got Burn and Target, and they were both throwing themselves in the way of shots. They were getting a lot of blocks in. They were kind of unspectacular signings, not exactly marquee signings when we got them, but they've both just stepped in absolutely seamlessly. You can tell they've got a lot of Premier League experience, and they're exactly the kind of players you need when you're in a relegation battle and when you're wanting to climb the league. I think Big Dan Boom is excellent, and as I said before, having somebody who is so comfortable passing the ball out from the back helps the whole team keep possession and just stops us lumping it long and then it coming straight back to us. So I think he might end up being we've got Trippier obviously who's injured now, but Burns going to be come the end of the season a seriously impressive signing, I think, for that price.
Oh yeah, I think playing for his hometown club has got to give him an extra bit of zest, hasn't it? I just want to move on to because I think that's pretty much all the top performers. Job was pretty solid all game, but that's kind of like almost pointless even mention that now. He's just rock solid these days, and everyone else did all right. But I want to move on to West Ham. So first of all, the atmosphere I thought in that stadium was absolute gash. Like you could barely hear the away fans, and normally we're really rowdy. There was nothing from the home fans at all, and maybe that was a reflection of what they were seeing on the pitch. But I feel a bit like, because it's like an athletic stadium and everyone's miles away from the pitch, it just doesn't feel like a stadium for football. I know it's been said before, but the atmosphere I thought was terrible. I want to just pick up on a couple of things at the end of the game as well. There was Fornells went studs up, and he got the ball first, but then he followed through and sort of smacked Miggy on the leg or the knee. And he got a yellow card for it. And I don't even know if VAR bothered checking this, but Jack, could that have been a red? Because there's no rule that says that if you get the ball first, you're allowed to hack the person straight afterwards. There's no rule such as that. So he went through studs up right across the knee of Miggy. Only got a yellow, so I guess it can't be reviewed now. But do you reckon it could have got worse?
Yeah, it could have been a red. I think the referee was a lot better than in the Villa game. He wasn't kind of pulling up for little fouls all the time. It was a bit more of it wasn't a great game, but it was a bit more free flowing. So the ref probably just didn't want to send somebody off sort of that close towards the end as well. They would probably argue that Byrne could have been sent off for that lunge on Bowen as well. So yellow is probably just about right, and it wouldn't have affected things anyway.
Yeah, and especially that Burn one, the flag was already up, and I think the player had already stopped, and we actually got the free kick from it, but it was kind of an unnecessary. I don't know if Burn saw the flag, but he was right next to the bloody thing, but he could have been focused on the ball, who knows. The other one was Kraft. He goes off the pitch on 94 minutes, and we're down basically at 10 men. He never comes back on the pitch, I don't think. I think Lascelles was subbed on from just at the very end. That was another high studs from Cresswell this time, and I don't think anything was given for that. Craig, was that another potential for at least a yellow?
Definitely a free kick. I think it was more of a 50-50 challenge. Late in the game, players are getting a bit fatigued, getting a bit tired. So you expect challenges, more free kicks to happen that end of the game. But it was definitely one that warranted a free kick for us. Don't know about a yellow, but yeah, it definitely should have been a free kick. I actually thought the one in the first half on Ryan Fraser was definitely a yellow. But that I don't even think was given as a free kick, to be honest.
That was interesting because normally you expect Ryan Fraser to get kicked in the face because he's not very tall, but that one was actually in his chest. So And I think he was stooping for it as well, actually, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so that was basically the end of the game, full time. Few boos from the West Ham fans, probably expecting to be beating us comfortably. But on the basis of that game, I'm not surprised they have only won one game, and I think it was 5 or 6, because that was that was a pretty terrible performance from West Ham. I was expecting a lot more. Jared Bourne was pretty good. Rice had a few good moments, but a few terrible moments as well. Let's have a look at some of the end of game stats. So total attempts 14 to Newcastle, 11 to West Ham. 3 attempts on target for both teams. Amazingly, this is going to be like the first time all bloody season. Newcastle 53% possession to West Ham's 47%. I mean, Jack, you said it before there. We were like in the 90s. No, we were in the 80s, I think, at some point in the first half, which is absolutely ludicrous. I don't think I've ever seen that happen, ever. But to finish the game on 53%, not bad at all. Passing accuracy, 80% to West Ham 76%. We had more corners than them. And we had 34 touches in the box to their 23, and expected goals of 0.89 to their 0.64. And I think I remember seeing a stat at the start from their supercomputer, which always seems to get the prediction wrong, that West Ham was going to be 64% to win or something.
Yeah,
that's got to be some of the best stats we've had, especially away from home this season, hasn't it, Jack?
Yeah, and the passing accuracy especially. So obviously the possession stat follows on from that passing accuracy. We're passing it more accurately, we keep more possession. Touching on West Ham, Athos, who did the preview for us, he did say that West Ham have looked pretty fatigued lately. They've been quite tired, and that showed today. It was almost like they kind of settled for the point, even though they're supposedly going for the Champions League. They were pretty flat, and Antonio, who has scored a lot of goals earlier in the season, I think that's 18 games now. He's only scored 1 goal, so he's got a lot of physical attributes, but he's really nothing to be scared of, really.
He reminded me of Shola today. That was like a Shola performance, like a lot of running, a lot of nothing else. And he's a brick shithouse, man. He's a big unit, and he should be putting himself around a bit more than that. But
yeah, and I think Bowen was kept pretty quiet as well by Byrne and Target. They did a good job on him. So all in all, it was pretty solid. There was only that one lapse that led to their goal, but
that's another one.
I think stats bear out what we saw in the game.
Yeah. I think that's another one I want to point out, actually. Target. He's slotted right in as well, hasn't he? He's not even first choice at Villa because they brought in Luca Dean, but Craig, he's been all right, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mentioned halfway through the game that he's been solid, and even against Everton, he was under the radar, just a solid performance, just something that you want from your left back. His crossing was a little left to be desired. He wasn't beating his first man most of the time, which didn't really help Chris Wood out a lot. But that's not really what he's in the team for. He's in there to defend, and he's done a solid job again.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we go to the table, let's get a man of the match. Jack, you're first.
I would say Willock. Definitely first half Willock, and then probably with the whole 90, maybe Dan Burn. But I think because Willock was so good and because he scored the goal, I think I would give it to Willock for his first half performance.
Craig?
Yeah, Willock for his goal, but purely for tenacity, Ryan Fraser as well.
Yeah, it seems like one of those games you can give it to more than one person, but I think I'll go for Willock just because his improvement has been really notable over the last two or three games. He's really starting to hit that form that we hoped he would have to start with. So I think, and he scored the goal, and he deserved it, absolutely deserved it. But there were some really good performances throughout the rest of the pitch there. So a quick look at the table. So Burnley, bottom on 14. Watford, second bottom on 15. Norwich, third bottom on 17 points. Newcastle, we're still fourth bottom. We're on 22 points now, so we're 5 points clear of Norwich, just below us on the same games. And we have a vastly superior goal difference, which you couldn't say earlier in the season. Burnley still have 3 games in hand, but even if they win all of those, they'll go 1 point above us. So I think we're all right over them. Watford have 1 game in hand, and even if they win that, they're not going to touch us. So we're actually starting to look up the table now, I think you'd have to say, Jack.
I think so, yeah. If we can beat Brentford, I think we'll definitely be looking up rather than down. It's always it's Newcastle, so we've always got to be a little bit wary of what's going on. But I think to see the turnaround in this team, and we actually look like an actual football team, and it's incredible that we're saying this, because for so long we've just been an absolute disorganized shambles, and we'll look like a real football team. And just to compare this performance against West Ham with the first game of the season, which was like a basketball game, and Callum Wilson said that he's just admitted that the players were absolutely exhausted by half time. And West Ham were just running through us that day at will. It was like a knife through butter, So it's just so much credit to Eddie Howe for the way he's turned things around. 5 games unbeaten. I think I'm very, very confident we're going to be all right now.
Yeah, so just above us, Everton on 22, but they have 2 games in hand. Leeds on 23 with 1 game in hand, and then you've got Brentford on 25 games, so that's 1 more than us. On 24, just 2 points ahead of us. And in fact, if you go to the top of the table where Leicester is, albeit they've got 2 games in hand, they're only 5 ahead of us. So we're really starting to look good, aren't we, Craig?
We are, yeah. The Brentford game could be huge. Hopefully, Arsenal can stick a few past them this afternoon or this morning, wherever you're watching in the world. That would be huge, especially considering that's going to then put them on 26 games. So we'll still have that 2-game advantage. We could climb a few places next weekend. This result today was absolutely huge. One, kept no loss streak going. I think we're undefeated so far this year, apart from the FA Cup, this calendar year even, which, I would gladly have taken that come the 1st of January.
Cool.
It's been an absolute fantastic turnaround, probably something that we didn't all predict, especially like, say, West Ham, Villa, Leeds. That was, we all thinking, a bit of a write-off game, but we plugged through just like we did today. Brentford next week, win that. I think we're safe, to be honest, if we can beat Brentford.
I honestly look forward to a season where we don't start after Christmas. That'd be a nice kind of novelty, wouldn't it? All right. So just before we wrap up, anybody want to jump in with anything else?
I just want to mention that Craig sent us the starting 11 from that first game against West Ham. He put that out on Twitter. And I just hope we never, ever have a team that looks that bad ever again. Because it was like a 5-3-2 with Murphy and Ritchie wing backs. It had Kraft at right centre back, Clark, and then there was Almiron out of position and Saint Maximin up front. So like 3 of the players that played that day are not even in the squad anymore. They've been evicted from the squad.
Yeah.
And there was only like 3 players that you could say are regulars now, and Callum Wilson's always injured. So Shelby was the only player who played today. So in the course of half a season, we've transformed, and the club's been transformed completely in the dugout and the ownership and on the pitch as well. And that's what needed to happen. It was well overdue. Absolutely. So let's keep going, and let's just get this safety, and then we can start looking forward to more transformation in the summer.
Just speaking of the owners there, I'm just looking on the Twitter feed here from Newcastle United. There's a tweet from Jamie Rubin. They're down at the stadium in the posh seats. He says, brilliant performance from Newcastle. Only the rubbish part of today was having to listen to Gudusi running commentary for 90 minutes. And Gudusi's been quite active on Twitter, hasn't he? It's such a different world to have. And we've actually said it earlier on as well, Jack, that they're talking too much and they're reacting too much on socials. It feels a bit like they've moved away from reacting to everything that people say, and now they're just being proactive and positive about the club. It's just completely different, isn't it?
Yeah, Murdad did that. He put that tweet out of his face superimposed onto Shearer when he scored that penalty against Sunderland. And I was like, ooh, because that was with about a week to go of the transfer window, and we'd only signed 2 players. I was like, that's a bit dodgy doing that. But he obviously knew what was going to happen, that we had players lined up. Yeah. But stuff like that's just, it could go either way. But at the minute, everyone's very positive towards them. There's a little probably note of caution that we were positive towards Mike Ashley at this stage as well when he was drinking in the stands with the crowd. So let's just always be aware that they're very rich owners, but they're not from Newcastle, and things could potentially go sour quite quickly, as does quite often happen with football owners. But at the minute, things are looking good, so long may that continue.
Absolutely. Craig, any final words?
Nah, just a massive point today. Bring on the Brentford game. Hopefully we can pick up 3 points on that.
You would have took 4 points from those two games, wouldn't you?
Absolutely.
All right. I think that will do for us. Bit of a short one, bit of a strange one. Straight after the game, it's 1:15 in the morning. Everyone is absolutely goosed by the looks of things. So thank you for watching. Please do like, comment, and subscribe if you like what you see from the 200 podcast. Find us on Twitter at 200pod. And we're on YouTube and Facebook. Just look for 200pod. Yeah, that'll do for us. Stay safe out there, everyone. Away the mighty mags. Cheers, boys.
Bedtime. See ya.
Bedtime.